It's just a little behind the scenes on this new track, Banger, and this is a new name for me, Tate Morden. This is to cover the more kind of darker, kind of tougher sort of flavors, and I've had a lot of interest on this, so much so in fact that it's going to be coming out on vinyl, so I'm really excited about that. It's on digital release at the moment exclusively on tracksource.com, and this is a little kind of overview of what's going on. I'll highlight a couple of sections, but firstly I wanted to say that I was inspired to make this track because of a video that I did for Point Blank, and this is it. This is actually hosted on the Mixmag TV channel. If you want the path for this, this is it up here. And so what I was doing was speculating on what Kerry Chandler might have used for the Bar of Time track, and so there's a patch on the Korg Poly 6 which sounded very, very similar, so I recreated the vibe, and it was after I'd worked with that I just suddenly felt I wanted to use that sound myself. So I basically came home and started working with it, and the track that you're going to hear here is the end result. So let me just play a couple of bits firstly, and then I'll explain some of the stuff. So whilst I'm here, let me just take a look at the master setup here. Magnetic. This is a Yamaha Equalizer 601. And then this is the Ableton limiter, of course, and you can see it's hardly pushing into that. That's because this is that version that I've got for vinyl. If I was running with this as a digital version, you know, for release, I would be pushing harder into that. And in fact, with the Tracksource version, then yeah, I was pushing harder into that. So what I'll do is I'll just take these out so you can hear before and then after. So obviously it's bringing it out quite a lot. Now this Nomad Magnetic is a real favourite plugin of mine. I use it a lot, and this is something I bought a little while back. In fact, I bought the first one, Magnetic, and then when the second version came out I bought that upgrade. So this is just like a tape simulation, and you can see that I've got the tape saturation, just a little bit of that added, and also just warming up the lows here. This is a very simple bass control. You've got three sort of descriptive approaches to bass, and the warm one is really nice there just to add some low end. You can also add some highs. I haven't bothered with that on here, so you know, this is really nice. It's adding a nice bit of tape flavor. So let me just see if I can show you before and after on that. So look, just focusing on this particular plugin. So that's on, and then off. So it's adding that real kind of old school vintagey kind of flavor. The EQ here, I'll drop this in and out as well. So what's going on there is a little bit extra bottom end, just a little bit of a dip at 200 just to take out some of the muddiness. I also felt at 2.5k things were sounding a little bit too much, so I've just reduced that a little bit and then lifted out the highs up here, 12.5k. So that's just a kind of sweetening thing, and the limiting is just protecting. In this case, I'm not really using it to give that sort of squashed modern brick wall kind of sound. You know, particularly because of this vinyl thing, so that's why I'm doing that. So look, let's take a look at the drums, and there's a bunch of samples. Not using all of these. That's what's going on there. Let me take a look at the drum rack. Here you go. Let's just take this back somewhere over here. You see what's going on with this. Let me just solo this snare here, so you can see it's running through the MDEX effect. If you guys have bought the Korg bundle, you know, I've got a Poly 6 at M1. This effects unit comes with the bundle, and it's a really nice effects unit. I use it quite a lot. So it's a reverb there, and then just rolling down. I'll show you here. So the EQ there after the reverb, just because it felt like it was a little bit too aggressive on there. And the drums are being layered with a clap that I've got, which is actually a this is like an audio file. I just layered it on top, so you can see this it's a selection of claps and then a reverse clap, and that actually makes quite a big difference, to be honest. So the two layered together. Let me just show you here. Let's come back on that. So I'll take this clap out and then back. So add some nice high end that wasn't existing, and of course the reverse is really nice to add some variation every now and again. And let's come back on here. The stab, you know, this is the most critical part of this. So what I did was that this is the MIDI stuff. So this is the Poly 6 going through a compressor, beat repeat, ping pong delay, EQ8, EQ3, utility auto filter, because there's a fair amount of automation occurring, and I'll see if I can show you some of this stuff. You can see the Poly 6, the VCF cutoff, so that's a filter that's opening in different ways at different points. The ARP range, so this varies at a couple of places to add some variation too. Check that video, the point blank video, and you'll see an investigation of the Poly 6 sound, so that's well worth checking out. But the reason why I froze this is because of the beat repeat. So at this point in the chain, you know, I was adding the beat repeat to add this rhythmic vibe, and what was happening, of course, is every time I listen to it, it's going to be different because it's got some random stuff going on here. So in order to keep it and commit it, what I did was to actually freeze the track. And then you can see here, this is the end result. So this is the bounced version of the stabs, and that's what I used. Okay, so you can see that. What else is worth pointing out? The shaker, yeah, look, the frequency shifter. Now let me show you this. What I'll do is I'll focus on that. So I wanted to add some movement. Let me just do that again. Let's have a listen. So can you hear that shifting around? Let me take the frequency shifter off. That's how it was beforehand. Now this is actually, yeah, it's a nice bright sound, but I wanted to add this kind of almost like something that would shift it over time very subtly. So we bring the frequency shifter back on. It's basically this LFO movement that's occurring. So, you know, I'll switch it in and out. So you can see here the rate, you know, that's basically set to the maximum. So it's going through its full cycle over 8 bars. I'll make it faster so you can get a sense of what's happening with that. So let's just play that again. Sorry, on the trackpad here, it's quite hard to get this actually correct with the positioning. So let me just have a listen again. So you can really hear that movement really fast there. So I did it over the longest portion, which is the 8 bars, and I've got a feeling I did a similar thing on the tambourine as well. Yeah, you can see this. So with the same thing, 8 bars. Something else that was bounced is the toms, and same reason as the stab, because these were running through the beat repeat and I wanted to commit them. So you can hear that nice sort of rhythmic movement occurring from the beat repeat. Running through a bit of reverb, obviously you can hear that. And yeah, that sound you're hearing there is an M1 sound. So the Korg M1, I use that a lot. And sonar sound here from the M1 as well. And yeah, so audio loop with some extra hats put on top. So that was just for speed. The pad, let's have a listen to this. Okay, yeah, I've got another pad, which is the lower keys here as well. Let's come back on that. This is another M1 patch, sweep law, This is a kind of atmospheric thing. Just over halfway through the track, so this is the main build-up section. And you can see here the frequency shifter. It's going to lift the pitch of that patch. There it goes. Just to create a bit of tension before everything kicks back. So I'll show you that without the solo. Just going to pick out a little vocal here. So I mean, the main motive here is, in terms of the sort of composition, is this section where you've got stabs, beats, bass all occurring, and then every now and again everything breaks down, and you've got that vocal which is rising in pitch, and then everything kicks back again. So I'll show you the breakdown here. And the beats, I always filter out the lows. So watch the auto filter here. But the bass and the stabs are still just as thick. So basically that sort of motive happens, the breakdown with the vocal like 3 times. Let me show you here the stabs and the pitch. The long note over here is rising. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll just unfreeze. And let's take a look at the MIDI information, and you can see here on the clip envelope, so at the very end it's rising up in pitch. So that's the little trick for doing that. So it's a simple tune. We've got 3 of those sections with the vocal, and it kind of builds each time, so it's kind of getting thicker. So you can see the layers building up, so the toms and stuff, big breakdown, then kicking all back. So, it's a simple one, and really based around that stab riff and a bass line, some drums. So it just shows you don't need to have any really complex stuff going on to get a complete tune. Just going to show you here the complete amount of tracks used on the production. And in fact, there's one that doesn't even seem to be used here. So I was probably trying out an idea there. So let me just take that away. So there it is. You can see what's going on. Really simple. And on the master, as you've seen, it's not too much going on. I had a reverb here as a return A, and then on return B, the filter delay. So just use a couple of times. So even on the effects side, there's not a lot going on. But I think you can hear that. With a lot of club tunes, you don't need to have it really overdosed with loads of things going on. As long as the core idea is working. All right. So just a little look behind the scenes there. It's in the shops exclusively on Traxsource at the moment. But if you're into your vinyl, it will be in the shops in about 4 weeks. So take a look for that. And let me know what you think in the comments and stuff like that. And don't forget to check out my Facebook page. So facebook.com/Danny J Lewis page. Twitter, just Danny J Lewis. So that's it for now. And I'll do some more videos on my channel when I can. Some of you guys may know that I'm basically leaving point blank. So I'm not working for another school or anything. I've got a totally different job. It's very cool working with technology and music. And I'm going to carry on doing some tutorial stuff when I can, just because it's just kind of in me. I need to do it really. So all good.